Look at this map of 16th century Venice. You can see the dense network of ports and waterways that built the city into a global commercial empire. Human lives and fortunes here rely entirely on trade, shipping, and ironclad legal contracts. In this mercantile hub, a wealthy merchant named Antonio has his entire fortune tied up in merchant ships currently at sea. At the same time, his close friend Bassanio desperately needs cash to travel to the estate of Belmont and court Portia, a wealthy and highly sought-after heiress. Over in Belmont, Portia is bound by an entirely different kind of contract. Her deceased father's will created a high-stakes marriage lottery involving 3 caskets. If a suitor guesses correctly, they marry Portia. If they guess wrong, they are legally bound by a vow never to marry anyone else for the rest of their lives. From the start, these characters are boxed in. Their futures, their finances, and their romantic prospects are governed by unyielding rules and binding legal documents. This is a gold Venetian ducat. It is the currency that forces 2 bitter enemies to the negotiating table. To fund Bassanio's trip, Antonio requests a 3,000 ducat loan from Shylock, a Jewish moneylender whom Antonio has spent years publicly insulting and abusing. Shylock agrees to the loan, offering it with 0 interest. He frames it as a merry bond, but hidden inside the agreement is a terrifying penalty if Antonio fails to pay. The terms are rigid. If Antonio defaults on the loan after 3 months, Shylock is legally entitled to cut exactly 1 pound of Antonio's flesh from any part of his body he chooses. By signing the agreement, Antonio consents to his own potential mutilation. Antonio accepts the terms without any hesitation. He is entirely confident that his merchant fleets will return long before the 3-month deadline. A standard financial transaction has been weaponized. A deep, personal vendetta is now locked into a legally binding threat on a man's life. Back in the wealthy, romantic world of Belmont, the suitor test begins. The princes of Morocco and Aragon both fail, choosing the gold and silver caskets. They are blinded by superficial value and arrogance, misinterpreting the riddle. Bassanio chooses the lead casket, which demands that the winner hazard all he hath. By looking past the exterior, he passes the test and wins Portia's hand. Immediately, a new contract is formed. Portia gives Bassanio a ring, and he swears a solemn oath that he will never take it off or lose it. Meanwhile, in Venice, Shylock's life collapses. His daughter, Jessica, elopes with a Christian friend of Bassanio's, stealing a massive portion of Shylock's wealth. The betrayal deepens Shylock's resentment toward the Christians around him. Then, the rumors circulating the city are confirmed. Antonio's ships have sunk. He is bankrupt and officially defaults on the 3,000 ducat loan. Shylock channels his grief and social alienation into a demand for rigid legal vengeance. He sets his sights firmly on Antonio's flesh. Look up at the ceiling of the Venetian courtroom. The grand, heavy ornamentation reflects the inescapable weight of state law. Inside this room, even the Duke is legally powerless to break Shylock's ironclad bond, even when Bassanio offers double the money owed. Portia rushes from Belmont, entering the court disguised as a brilliant young male lawyer named Balthazar. She starts by urging Shylock to show mercy rather than demanding strict justice. Shylock refuses, insisting on the absolute letter of the law. Portia agrees that the bond is legally sound. Shylock readies himself and prepares his blade to carve directly into Antonio's chest. Portia stops him. The contract guarantees 1 pound of flesh, but 0 drops of blood. Spilling Christian blood triggers his execution. Furthermore, as an alien plotting against a citizen, dividing his assets is mandatory, half to Antonio, half to the state. Shylock is ruined by the very weapon he sought to wield, the rigid, unbending, and merciless letter of the law. With Antonio saved, Portia, still in disguise, demands Bassanio's ring as payment for her services. Bassanio initially refuses because of his oath, but eventually yields. Out of gratitude for Antonio's life, he breaks his sacred vow, handing over the ring. Back in the gardens of Belmont, Portia and her maid torment their husbands for losing rings. After pushing the men to their limits, they finally produce the rings and reveal their disguises. To conclude the resolution, Antonio receives a letter revealing that 3 of his merchant ships actually survived and have safely returned to port. The flesh bond ended in a courtroom execution of the law, but the ring oath ends in a garden with an act of forgiveness. One contract was used as a weapon of revenge. The other became an opportunity for mercy. In the end, it isn't the ironclad law that sustains Venice, it's the human choice to bend it.